Welcome to Nerd Social. I'm Nathan. So this is a enhanced and edited version of our live conversation previewing the new Falcon and the Winter Soldier show that is premiering. You can find the original live stream up there, but enjoy this newly enhanced version of our conversation. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and look forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, what are you guys looking forward to? I have some things that I'm going to touch on, especially the background. It's the director of the WandaVision was a guy. The writers were women, and it seems to be flipped here because the director is a woman here who's done shows like Handmaid's Tales, The Vikings, and lots of things like this. So she's done a lot of action stuff. Carrie Scoglin and. The writers are some guys, and we can get to them in a little bit. So what do you guys want to talk about? What are you looking forward to with Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I think buddy comedy routine should be very entertaining. We already saw little bits and pieces of that throughout, Civil War and Infinity War and so forth. And of course at the end of Endgame, where they're, especially Bucky and Sam, they've got this love-hate relationship going.
What the hell is that? Everyone's got a gimmick.
I'm really sorry. What?
You couldn't have done that earlier?
I hate you.
We're partners, co-workers, not necessarily a team.
No, we look damn good, though.
Why does Sam aggravate you?
So what's our plan?
Hey, Buck, I have a plan. Oh, yeah?
What is it?
That little girl kicked your ass.
Oh, I have all of that on camera. Get out of my face, Sam.
What's going on in that cyborg brain of yours?
You don't want to know.
Oh, yeah, I can see it working. Gears turning. Oh, they're malfunctioning. They're on fire.
God, I hate you.
You went the wrong way.
I was clearing the way.
I came out first. You're supposed to follow me. It's in every action movie.
So I definitely want to see that. I found them very funny, so I look forward to more of that. And Daniel Bruhl's character, Baron Zemo, we get to finally see him in his full getup as Baron Zemo, and that ought to be pretty good as well. I was expecting to see that in Civil War, but we never did get that, so we're finally going to get that in this series, so that should be great. And of course, the introduction of other comic book characters that we all know of and have read about as we were comic book fans, other side characters that we expect to show up on this show. Absolutely looking forward to all of that. And of course, continuing the whole MCU saga and see how much it contributes and adds to the overall saga, especially in this next phase. Really, that should be very exciting.
Yeah. I think that for me, there's two things. One is the political intrigue. I think that definitely in Winter Soldier, there was a lot of political intrigue between what is civil liberties and what is not. And then, in Civil War, it was about, government control of superheroes. So, the political intrigue part is definitely something as a kind of like a political junkie myself. I really like that type of dynamic, and I think all three of us do. That part is interesting. And number two, I think, like you said, Jhon, just the buddy comedy part of it. The interchanges that they have in Civil War were classic interchanges. The one that I keep remembering is the one where they're in the Beetle, and then he's like, "Can you move your seat up?" "No."
Can you move your seat up? No.
And it's like, it's just classic, like just great dialogue, great delivery there. And then just the banter that they have between each other is just so great. And at the same time, Captain America is actually my favorite MCU character. And, because he's a straight shooter and he's he really is trying to fight for what's right, and and he ends up being worthy of the hammer and things like that. I think that his sidekicks, his two bromance sidekicks, Bucky and Sam, are like now they're together, and how are they going to deal with that grief of now Cap is retired how are they going to reconcile with that? How are they going to proceed as a co-workers or working to a better universe on top of that, all that political intrigue that is coming after them? So that is what is really firing me and really get me excited about it. And also, Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to be the first thing out. So if it was the first thing out by Disney Plus, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then it had to be good. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. It was supposed to be the first thing, and I can imagine they probably pushed it because of the pandemic. Like,
yes,
a lot of the recording for WandaVision was finished before they had to wrap. And I'm gonna imagine that maybe I'm wrong about this, but there's probably going to be a lot more special effects shots, even though there were small special effects shots in even at the early episodes of WandaVision, because they had to use special effects to remove Paul Bettany's face and put Vision's head on him.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Blue makeup. Yeah.
But I think that this show probably has a lot more special effects shots, and that's probably why it was pushed a little bit further in the calendar to let them to work on that. But yeah, as you guys said, I'm interested to see the back and forth between Bucky and Sam. They have even though they're Captain America's bros.
Thank you, Buck. But I can get by on my own.
You don't have to. I'm with you to the end of the line, pal.
Steve Rogers.
I kind of put that together.
It's good to meet you, Sam.
Everyone we know is trying to kill us.
Not everyone. He doesn't know you. He will. Gear up.
No, you're a lot heavier than you look.
I had a big breakfast. Please don't make me do this. Because I'm with you to the end of the line.
The people that shoot at you usually wind up shooting at me.
You used to wear newspapers in your shoes.
Can't read that in the museum.
Just like that, we're supposed to be cool?
We're on our own.
I don't know if I'm worth all this, Steve.
It wasn't you. You didn't have a choice.
I know, but I did it.
Like it's someone else's.
It isn't.
They have very different personalities. I feel like
yes.
I feel like Bucky was more like Sam in the 40s, but he's had over almost like 80 years of like misery. So he's a completely different person now than he was in the 40s. So maybe Sam will let him tap into that puckish, like juvenile part of himself if he lets himself feel that again, or maybe he'll never be able to feel that way again because he has the memories of all the things that he's done. So it'd be interesting to delve into his psychology, even though it seems like he's been cured of his brainwashing by the Wakandans.
So until they figure out how to get this stuff out of my head, I think going back under is the best thing for everybody.
As we saw at the end of Black Panther, leading into Infinity War.
Where's the fight?
He still seems to be a little bit scarred and reserved. I was reading. There was also another New York Times article about the show and the fact that they're going to delve into not only Bucky's damage, but the fact that you can't avoid the fact that Sam is a black guy, right? And they don't have him as a black guy in an idealized version of America, as we saw in the Black Panther movie. The America that exists in the Marvel Universe is very much like the America that exists in our world, with much of the racial strife that exists in our world. So I am looking forward to them delving into that and actually dealing with that stuff in a serious way, and whether or not people would actually be okay with a black man taking up the mantle of America and taking on the mantle of Captain America. I'm very interested to see that. And also, as you said, Jhon, Zemo, I'm interested to see what they do with Zemo as they progress his character. Did he disappear in the snap? Is he even madder now? Because before he was like, they destroyed an entire country and
his family.
Yeah, they destroyed the entire country and his family, right? His family is gone. But now he has even more to be upset about, right? Because the entire planet was snapped away for 5 years. You could say that he has his point before all this happened could have been is even more valid, right?
You lost someone.
I lost everyone. When the dust cleared, it
took me 2 days until I found their bodies.
Vengeance has consumed you. The living are not done with you yet.
All that effort, and to see it fail so spectacularly.
Did it? Superheroes cannot be allowed to exist. I have no intention to leave my work unfinished.
So I want to see where they take Zemo's character. And Sharon Carter is coming back as well. They did a bunch of... There's a series on Disney Plus called Legends, and they have shorts. So they did a recap of Sharon Carter. So what happened to her? Did she go away in the snap? Was she here during the 5 years? Was she dating Cap during those 5 years? She's definitely paired with Cap within the comic books. I was actually reading comic just before we went live. Just before we went live, I was reading a comic with her and Cap, and they're very much together. Beyond the kissing that we saw in Civil War.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if she didn't get snapped away, did they connect, or did he never connect with her, and that's why he went back to Peggy? I want to hear more about her story and what happened to her.
That would be awkward.
Yeah.
But I would
Peggy,
really
I was
but
with
I
your
really
niece.
would but I would really hope that they don't they don't make her to be like a romantic figure in Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I think that we've seen that already. And I think that, going back to what we said about female empowerment, you don't want to go play that trope like, oh, she's just a romantic figure. And it's like, okay,
It's
we've
going to
done
be a
that
love
already.
triangle.
Yeah, no, I don't. I
Right.
really not. I really wish that they don't do that to her. I think I think that she needs to stand by herself. She needs to be very similar to her aunt. She needs to stand by herself and be that strong individual. And I think that would be a very good representation of her, and not kind of go into like, oh, who's she going out with, and does she have any type of residual feelings about Captain America and things like that, and Steve Rogers. So I just hope that they don't go into that. I really do, and I think that hopefully it's just a play on the just represent her the way that she is, strong character, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
It would be cool if she was around during the snap and she was left to pick up the pieces of S.H.I.E.L.D. That would be kind of cool. And Zemo being around as well, and he grew more hateful, and maybe it gave him the time to build up his strength, right, of whatever he's doing, sowing the hatred / his army, his minions, whatever it is that needs to be done.
Right.
And then, of course, exploring the dynamics of Sam and Bucky. I mean, they were both snapped away. So how are they now going to adjust to things since they're back, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see... I hope that at least one of the 4 main characters that they created Legend shorts on weren't snapped away. Because it would be interesting to see what they did in the interim during those 5 years with some flashbacks. We're only going to get 6 episodes, but I think they're definitely longer. They're like an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much background they're going to go into. From the article that I read in the New York Times, they're going to do sort of like a day in the life of Sam, day in the life of Bucky before they bring them together. They might not be able to do as much with Sharon and Zemo, but I mean, so I get your point, Colin. But playing, devil's advocate, I think they can. Good writers can thread the line about writing strong female characters and also having them have relationships. I mean, love and relationships and sex, those are part of the human condition. They don't have to be the only thing about the character. I think that makes a character one-dimensional, but also removing those things also make the character also one-dimensional in a different way. I think they balance those things very well in, say, Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, right?
Not the second.
The first Wonder Woman. Let's not speak about the second Wonder Woman.
Trauma. There's a lot of trauma there.
Yeah, the first Wonder Woman, right? She was a very strong character, but she also had a love interest in that movie. And I think good writers can balance those things. I don't necessarily want her. I think I agree with you that I don't want a love triangle but I don't mind. I don't mind if they touch on, if she was still there, if they touch on what her relationship was with Cap, in addition to pulling together. Well, Shield was, I think, at the end of Winter Soldier, she was a CIA agent, right? And also, in Civil War, she was a CIA agent. So, what happened? What happened to the CIA during the snap? What happened to that? What happened to intelligence and gathering? I mean, we saw during Endgame that criminal organizations were kind of running rampant. That's why Hawkeye or Ronin was taking people out. So what was she doing if she wasn't snapped away? So
she was helping him.
Yeah. I think that it's you make a good point, but like you said, I think that instead of making it one-dimensional, I think that making it three-dimensional is very important, especially for her. I think you know she was a character in Winter Soldier. I think they balanced it pretty well in Winter Soldier with the love interest with Cap, and then in Civil War she didn't play as big of a role just at the beginning there before the airport scene. So.
Well, she also showed up at the funeral, right? She was basically the reason that Cap decided to go against the Accord, because the whole speech that she made, she gave.
Yeah, that's true.
With Peggy basically reminding him of his convictions. So she was a big part, and it was a surprise to him because he didn't know who she was. Just like my aunt Peggy. It's like.
Margaret Carter was known to most as a founder of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I just knew her as Aunt Peggy. I asked her once how she managed to master diplomacy and espionage in a time when no one wanted to see a woman succeed at either. And she said, compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move. It is your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye, and say, no, you move.
It's interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, you want to see?
Yeah, I was going to say that back to what you were saying, Nathan, about the show plans to explore or at least mention or touch upon the fact that Sam Wilson is a black character, and especially in these times, if it's going to reflect the modern world and the real world that we live in, the racial tensions and so forth. Yeah, cue to backlash, absolutely, from that toxic fandom yet again. I think if they do touch upon that, you're going to get the people that come out that say, I go to the movies and watch TV to escape, and I don't need them to remind me of the real world. Well, you know what? Tough. You deal with it. The fact is, it's here, and if it's big enough and important enough to be touched upon, even in comic book movies, what does that tell you, right? It's important enough to be discussed and touched upon and be reflected in the characters that we have, the superheroes that we have.
One other major thing is that the new Captain America, I'm not talking about Sam Wilson, but there's another one that's government sponsored who is actually a white guy. So it's like
U.S. agent.
US agent.
Let me be clear. We need someone to inspire us again.
So you can see that, you know, that might play into it a little bit, and we'll see how that dynamic going to shake out, because this is a government sponsored U.S. agent, you know, named U.S. agents, and then Steve Rogers is the one who handed the shield to Sam. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there are people that are going to complain one way or the other, but you really can't make those people happy, because just the color of my skin is political to them. Just the color of a black person's skin is political to them. If black people show up in there, I sent you guys a meme earlier I
saw that
today about someone complaining that they put black people in anime, and why are they making anime political? It's like, my existence is political. Okay,
I know.
All right. So there's no way to talk to these people. There's no way to talk to these people in a logical way. If everything, even my mere existence or the existence of black people or existence of people of color, is political, because they have to see everything that they consume has to have white guys in them. You can't really. I don't think trying to make those people happy is a valid use of someone's time. I think you have to.
No, and that's just it, right? As we were talking about in a previous segment, you know, the the efforts that were made previously, especially over the last decade, and many decades before that, to appease to the mainstream audience. Mainstream is just another word for the predominantly white audience, right? To appease to them. And now that there's an effort to appease to a wider audience, a more inclusive audience, the folks that have been part of that mainstream feel threatened, and they are just bitching very loudly about it. And we do see that in sometimes in the forums, in fandom, and unfortunately it is very toxic. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so we've been talking for almost an hour now. Do you guys have any other thoughts? Are there any questions from people watching the live stream?
I see a laughing emoji and a hand clapping emoji as we were talking. So clearly, one of our viewers is very satisfied with the topics that we're talking about, and I'm guessing also our opinions as well. But I'm looking forward to the action as well in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it should be pretty good.
That is true. That's one thing that I didn't touch upon was that, of course, the kind of the gold standard of the MCU movies has been Winter Soldier, and a lot of it had to do with the action in Winter Soldier. So I think that they're going to try to do that in this series, and that stylized action was really amazing. So let's see what happens with these two in terms of stylized action.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's nothing else, guys, and if there are no questions from the audience, I think we're going to close out things here, and we will see you guys next week when we'll review live Falcon and Winter Soldier, the first episode. We want to hear from you guys, though, down below. If you weren't part of the live stream, comment down below, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.